please turn to page 7 of the prayer book. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, forms supremely pure, wisdom motion like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior, having great compassion, the founder, having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy fields qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms' atoms in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, mirage, the flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. From Tushita's hundreds of God's protectors' heart, to tip of this fresh, pure, white, heaped curd like cloud, O Losang Drapa, Dharma's omniscient king, pray come to this place with your disciples. In space ahead, on lion throne, lotus and moon, venerable Guru, smile brightly with delight. Pray stay hundreds eons to spread doctrine as supreme merit. Feel for my mind of faith. Your wisdom mind sees full range of knowables. Your eloquent speech adorns fortunate ears. Your beauteous body, fame, glory outstanding. Homage to you, worthwhile to think of, hear and see. Pleasant offerings of water, various flowers, fragrant incense, light perfume, and so on. Oceans of offerings set out and envisioned, offered up to you, supreme field of merit. Non-virtue committed with body, speech, and mind, which I have heaped up since beginningless time, especially what has contradicted 3 vows. Each I confess from my heart with strong regret. In time of strife you strove to learn and practice, shunned 8 mundane concerns, made life essenceful. O protector from depths of our hearts, we rejoice in your powerful great deeds. Venerable gurus from love and wisdom, clouds densely massed in your Dharmakaya sky, pray loose a rain of vast profound Dharma on fields of disciples just as needed. May whatever virtue that here gathered bring benefit to all beings and doctrine, and may it make Venerable Losandrapa's essential teaching specially shine forever. Migme Tsewe Ter Chen Chen Rezig Dreame Kempe Wampo Jompel Yang Dufu Malu Jon Se Son Wei Dag Gan Chen Kepe Sun Gen Tsongkhapa Lo San Trape Shabla So Adep. O glorious and precious root Guru, pray take seat of lotus on my crown, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments of body, speech, and mind. O glorious and precious root Guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments common and supreme. O glorious and precious root Guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness, until supreme awakening remain steadfast. Homage to the exalted 3 jewels. Thus have I heard at one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in Randagri on Vulture Mountain, together with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. At that very time, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a child of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to the Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whichever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this, subsequently looking perfectly and correctly at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Form is empty, emptiness is form is not other than form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are empty, without characteristics. That is, they are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement and no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visible form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object to touch, no mental phenomenon. There is no I element and so forth up to no mind element, up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no cessation of ignorance and so forth up to no aging and death and no cessation of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, no path, no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom, and because their minds have no obstructions, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond error, they attain the final state beyond sorrow. All the Buddhas who reside in the three times by relying upon the perfection of wisdom become manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequaled mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it is not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Hayata, gate, gate, paragate, parasom gate, bodhisoha. Shariputra, the bodhisattva, great being, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, well said, O child of the lineage, so it is. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced exactly as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, the entire assembly, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, Gandharvas, and others, were filled with admiration and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. In the holy supreme abode of the Dakinis, possessed of clairvoyance and miraculous power, unwaveringly caring for practitioners as your children, homage to the host of the three places Dakinis. Akasamara Samsadara Samarada Pe. Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasom Gate Bodhi Soha. The power of the speech of the exalted three jewels, may on the side of negativity, such as the four Maras, be stopped. May they become non-existent. May they be pacified. All enemies, obstructors, and hindrances, Shante Kuri Soha. The 80,000 types of obstructors pacified, free from adverse, harmful conditions, may all be conducive in perfect auspiciousness, bring happiness and well-being here, right now. Saji Purti Jonshi Me Tong Tramri Pabling Ji Ni De Gampadi Sangye Jingdu Mite Uwa Yito Kunanda Jinga Chupasho Jitsu Mama Yen se Tring Rine Chi Ta Tsam Te Urgyen Zin Ma La Ja Ge Chuki Cha Idam Guru Ratma Mandala Kaniyatayami Chodang Soke Chonam La Jangchub Badu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Chenyam Ki Pesonam Ki Jola Penche Songge Dropa Sho Chodang Soke Chonam La Jangchub Badu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Chenyam Ki Pesonam Ki Jola Penche Songge Dropa Sho Chodang Soke Chonam La Jangchub Badu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Chenyam Ki Pesonam Ki Jola Penche Songge Dropa Sho
Good morning, everyone. How is the weather outside? Beautiful? Snow cold? No complaint? Anyway, wonderful. Yeah, very beautiful. I think no more snow. I think so. 2019 the snow is finished. Hope so. Anyway, it's wonderful that, as we know all the time, whenever you pray, when you practice, when you pujas, meditation, first we need to good motivation, then action, then finally we need to dedicate for the Buddhahood. Okay? Therefore, usually the motivation has like three kind of motivations. First is, okay, I want to be happy, healthy, successful. Therefore, I'm going to do puja, pray that. The secondly is, okay, I want to free from the samsara or hell realm. Therefore, I want to pray or chanting, pray like that. The third one we say, okay, I want to free from all Mother Simchimbi's suffering. Therefore, I want to achieve enlightenment. Therefore, I want to do puja, pray, chanting, meditation. Therefore, the three is the last one's best one. Okay? Just always we try to think about that. Maybe sometimes no walk. Just try much as we can. Then, what is that? Yeah, like that motivation. Then we do a little bit of meditation. Okay?
So nowadays, practice on the four placements, four close placements, are considered very important.
Mindfulness,
Close placement or mindfulness.
mindfulness, right? And it's not
So that's the common practice of the both Mahayana and Hinayana vehicles.
and the Jangchub Sembega and Nyamlela and the Jangchub Subdin Sajur, that Tinani, Tigurwa.
And then in the practice of the Bodhisattvas, there's like 37 practices of Bodhisattva. So this is considered one of those.
And the Tempanje, Yanda Pongwash, the Richikambasho, Umbanga, Ganga, Shanshu, Palaya like this.
So yeah, so those are like the 37 limbs, or 37 practices of bodhisattvas. And so there's like there's 4 mindfulnesses,
야다 봉어시
4 perfect abandonments,
드르지 강바시
and 4 miraculous legs,
오봉가
5 powers,
또가
5 senses,
샹추 양랍디
and then 7 limbs of enlightenment.
it's more than 30
And panayalagye.
팔라야라게
8 noble paths.
더소당가서 아니 응도지 값시와도 왔다 와이나 되는 맞던 그래. 아니 대한도 쳤다 와도 되는 그래.
So those will come, in the subject on the 4th chapter of the ornament of all clear, ornament of clear realization, and also in the 70 topics.
오케이, 다들 좀 먹었지. 다이나 다 전반이자 세세디 다 전도하고 왜.
So anyway, we don't have to go through all of them. First, just to little bit talk about the 4 mindfulnesses, or the cross placements.
Do you know them?
You know what they are? Mindfulness.
Are those
Yeah.
the basis, time, and place?
그래.
Basis. Shidang.
No.
Dudang.
No. Deborah knows. Mary knows. Bob knows. 전반이자 시. 나도 저도 나 그런 mindfulness 배그 잡지 버려도. 집어내나.
So you're very, I mean, say big fan of mindfulnesses, right? Concentration. You don't know that?
I do that. I don't know.
Forgetfulness says we'll remember. We'll be like, oh yeah, those are, but I can't remember. Okay, no.
아니 리탐반이죠.
The mindfulness of body.
Yeah.
아니 then
It's mindfulness of mind.
리탐반이
mindfulness
리탐반이죠. 아니 좋아탐반이죠.
Feeling.
feeling and
아니 추탐반이죠.
objects.
Objects,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mind, feeling, object. It's
Body.
mindfulness of body, mindfulness of mind, mindfulness of feeling, mindfulness of objects.
오케이.
Object or phenomena.
Correct. 리탐반이죠. 좋아탐반이죠. 추탐반이죠. 아니 샘탐반이죠. 오케이.
Okay, those are the 4.
I think that's right. Okay. 다 안에 리탐반이죠. 세우가 뜻받아 소수 리라 안에 미니 공장 요레스.
So when you say mindfulness of body, you're concentrating on what? Body.
Right.
So
아니
body, yeah.
소수 안에 리라 빼놨다 고타세니 간세모 발라야 막 곰네 삼당 요레스. 가지
you're-
샘테라네 요.
Being mindful about your body means like focusing or thinking about your body, all the way from the top of your head to the tip of your toes.
아니 리탐만 샘탐만 제선난다 소수 샘세 가wan도 샘라 미기네 아니 직다 샘테야다 아니 샘라 sombota도 어떤데 골라야 아니 샘탐반이죠.
So it's basically focusing or observing, that about your body, right? So same with the mind. So then you have, your main mind, right? So mind, thinking about, observing your mind, seeing what it's doing, what it's thinking, where it's going, and all these things.
아니 추타만이 아니 샘라 초와만이다 다 딘디 소수고 리라 아니 소수 샘마다 텔라 땅와라 때니 소수자 초와 대도 땅요 섬 강제게 다때 초와카네 텔라 미네 곰장 소수 샘 텔라 미데야텔라 아니 초와타만이죠.
So then, based on the object, right? The subject and object coming into contact, then you get a feeling. What kind of feelings you get? Good feeling, bad feeling, and neutral feeling, right? So then just focusing or observing on those feelings.
샘 텔라테 아니 추타만이다 다 아니 지 신하게 네 지지 디바다 지지 마데비 뭐 가래 마 텔라 미네야 지 따테 아니 지 베나마 타베라지 엠바 아니 다메 바라지 엠바 아니 지 데마마타라지 베텐데 삼다나 인테그레스 데레제네 가지 디 네슬로 삼다데레.
And so basically it's observing that object. So either could be body, mind, or feeling, or phenomena, or object, right? So whatever object. So, thinking about the nature of the object. So how it is selflessness or emptiness, and all these things. So thinking about that. So focusing on the object and placing your mind closely on that. That's called the close placement. And so these are all the 4 mindfulnesses.
근데 다대 남주 추캔 램멜레 근데 참이도 곰자야 되는 장도.
And so that can be meditated by everybody, whether you believe in religion or not.
로와 단당도 지지에게 나라야 지금 mindfulness 배 관계가 깨닫음을 쓰기도 왔어.
So even in the Western world, the mindfulness is regarded very important, right?
Right. 근데 지금 가지지 요가 증에다 지금 멘카나다 가로 사이콜로지도 관계가 있고 시작도 와.
So they all explain, like the teachers who teach yoga, or the people who deal with the psychology, and in the medicine field, in the hospitals, they all talk about that mindfulness, right?
근데 단다야 가도 곰자지도 가로 위사나네. 그것도 니만 뭐 곰자 위사
Vipassana.
때 가로 돼. 갈라 그래. 간이 곰자. 고들라도
You
배는
have heard about
그렇지.
Vipassana, meditation? What is that?
간이 저대.
Mindfulness meditation, just right.
저도 때 전혀 anyone do that? Yeah. How they do that? Yeah.
It's basically being with what's there. Like if you start with your breath and your mind starts to wander, you just try to non-judgmentally come back to the breath. And after you get the calm, abiding sort of feeling, then they open up the field and they tell you to be mindful of sounds or yeah. So it expands, but it's not like analytical meditation where you visualize. You're not supposed to visualize. You're just supposed to
Just
be with what's there.
what's that?
So if you hear
Yeah.
a faucet dripping, that's
Okay.
you're kind of aware of that.
Okay. Is correct, Sam?
I mean, it's
Just whatever you see, whatever you think, just say that.
it's being understanding the nature of reality,
Oh.
being insightful, and understanding the nature of impermanence.
Okay. Yeah, this is 가로 답변아. 주도만이야 손으로 인사로.
어쨌든 Vipassana 혼자 데려다 가도 데려다 하동세 들라. 그래서
알레.
신에다 하동세라.
알레레.
먼저는 하동래. 이나다 즉 신에게 때문에 진짜 하동 되어져라. 다 하동세 되는 거죠. 다 신에게 다거 쳐질라 믹 들라 믹네데. 하동게 다 되게 제바 지금 먼저는 가서 진짜 제바쳐서 혼자 제바쳐. 제바 맞지? 얘는 가르치거든. 다 추트바 다이도 추트바 다이도 데이터 디 돌아 샤드다. 거의지 도도 지 도도서는 라기도선 직 셈라 샤죠라. 딜라 직 셈 대야죠라. 데이터 하고하다. 데이터 다다 무슨이야. 무슨 버제 딜라 컨트롤 다 비바사나스 거라.
Okay.
They also do a lot of body stuff, like they do body scans, like
Yeah.
starting at your toes and then working.
So-
being aware of your
Yeah.
body.
So Vipassana, what's the samatha?
Yeah, but there's
I thought shamatha was the same thing on your breath. I thought that's what shamatha was.
Right.
Was focusing on your breath, and then when you get distracted, you come back to your breath. That's what I thought
Okay.
shamatha was, but then vipassana is something else too.
샤마드는
Vipassana is concentration, right? Concentration.
The first one that you described, the first one that you described,
The mindfulness.
yeah, that's
대번역시 가라데 신내샤고를 하동샤고를.
또 신내라래. 또 신내 곰감으로 신내랑 저기 말이야. 신내
So,
곰감으로.
and I mean the shamatha and vipassana, these are the Sanskrit term, right? So it's not really English or not Tibetan. So, so when it is translated in English, it's a calm abiding for the shamatha, and vipassana is a special insight. It's a special insight, So you're having insight of the object that you're focusing on. So whatever you're focusing, if you're focused on a book, and then you say, oh, the book is blue, it is thick, it has many pages. You're analyzing on that. The special insight. You're getting more than just focus on a book. With the shamatha, you're just focused on a book. You're not thinking about blue. You're not thinking about thickness. You're not thinking about many pages. Nothing about what kind of book it is and all these things. So when you're analyzing it, it's called special insight. So you get more knowledge. The insight is more. So based on that, so that's what the vipassana. I mean, how it is when it's translated into Tibetan. We call it haktong. It's like special insight.
Okay.
So
Yes.
what is Dogen then?
Mhm.
What is Dogen?
Oh, Dzogchen.
Yeah,
Dzogchen. That's very different. Very different.
It's bedcore card. Either
That's very
physical
different.
card.
That's to do with the tantra, tantric practice. Dzogchen.
No, I just
Dogen?
laughed over there. But yeah. So that's different from.
Vipassana. I mean, of course, they can be related, but
Because I knew someone years ago who did both.
디데가도 대버토모라다 신의 하동이다.
신나도 태워 토모레스. 아니
정신도
도체 세대 태워 첨부 나는 첨부는 그 첨부 상하가 냠네 토모케 그랬어.
So, like when we talk about vipassana and shamatha, those are the common practice of both lower vehicle, higher vehicle, or even maybe of the,
Sutra,
the
Tadara.
non-Buddhism, So non-Buddhists, they can do that too. But when we talk about the Dzogchen is, only in the Mahayana practice. And even in the Mahayana practice is very high level Mahayana practice, through which you can gain enlightenment in one lifetime. Like that. So that's the very high level practice.
가제 돈이무스 맛도나 독치기 냠네 제주는 요 말이지.
And so, of course, if it can be related, right? So it can be like in the Dzogchen you need a shamatha, in the Dzogchen you need a special insight also, So it can be related, but it's very high level. So, without realizing emptiness, realizing emptiness, you can't even do the Dzogchen practice.
오케이.
You can attempt to do,
Yeah.
It's simple, but
Try it.
a real practice will not happen unless you have realized emptiness.
오케이. 딱 나도 된다 변다. 나주람나 변다 아니 신의 마대에 녀다 나도 세네 근로고 그러와. 계속 대고녀 와서.
So in the shamatha or calm abiding meditation practice, you have to go through those 9 stages, right? 9 stages of the settling the mind.
대열에 단다 샴가로 위바사 티나티 냠네
So in the vipassana practice, do they talk about the 9 stages?
Well,
No.
so in Vipassana as taught in Burma and Thailand, the idea it's a little much further than the Western Vipassana, which has been criticized. Because
Okay.
Western Vipassana, just like Lynette described, just to look knowing what's in your mind.
Yeah.
But the ultimate goal is liberation, which by you see the 3 traits. You see impermanence,
Yeah.
suffering, and selflessness. And so, but many Vipassana techniques is because you begin to approach that.
Yeah.
So you need concentration to help you have that kind of awareness. A lot of Vipassana teachers in Asia don't want to teach concentration at all. There's people get lost in it.
Yeah.
And they don't continue to analyze. They just attach
Yeah.
to the bliss of the concentration.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. 대장간송간도 단답변다. 변다 시제도 내등이데 마보 파제 땡군데 참만이도 냠다 제거서 말했다. 대라오로 되게 빠빠로 거네.
So the real vipassana practice is like you said, so it's not really what is explained here is not really vipassana practice. It's more like a more like a little bit of a shamatha or just some form of concentration or mindfulness.
Awareness too, but it's just,
Yeah.
I think it's
The awareness,
some
yeah,
level
yeah.
limited.
I think that there's one aspect that, while it's not terribly analytical, you do have to use some discernment, and that is one technique is when something comes up, like suddenly you're filled with anger, then you recognize it, you label it.
Yeah.
You label it anger, and that helps you to just see it and or be less attached.
Angry, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, like good. Anyway, yeah, there's so many different kinds, Sometimes also a lot of things also learn now. Maybe. Because 내가 좀 답티만 마음 축되어서 봐지. 마음 축되고서. 아니 남백이 냠래지 딱 상지 좀 되고 소샤베 냠래 내가 친구들이 일랍. 아니 문에 때 말하고 때 빠빠도 그 말 탑탑 가로. 탑탑 마음 땅고 있었어. 탑스도 돌아다치. 니 밤에 가서 그러는 거지.
So I mean, because of kind of different translation, lost in translation, the meaning gets lost, and then this is vipassana is like that. So there's a different explanation, from what was originally described as the practice of vipassana.
아니 간주 다 라야테 아니 다 상지 좀 되거든 돌아나 공투네 맛이 시작이었어.
So what is explained in Buddhism, especially in Tibetan Buddhism, is based on how it is explained by Buddha in the sutra.
아니 단다 tem반이 제제 다 뇌는 마서 대야 아니 샹축 섭대가 나라요. 대 아니 태와 투모베 아니 내대다 와당 루다 아니 태와
이거를 가서 대반 열시도 그다 나가서 신의 다방 그렇게 시가 뭐라.
대 tem반이 다 신나도 거 시가 말대.
네.
대고랑 가서 신나도 거 계시죠. 요 말에.
네, 그건 되어요 뭐라. 인 하동스 다들 제 대결을 비바스는 세대 하동시요.
그래. 가서도 날 하도도 신내들 하도도 대체 말했어. 텔레단다 띵이야 텔레야 그러. 띵 싸버서.
셔럽.
라도도 셔럽です. 신내가 많도 가지 빼네. 신내 세대가 빼나 예빼나 갑다걸 내가 미네 다 곰작이라 돼 곰시. 곰 다 내가 미 베지가로 아니 지 다두고지 리듬 시장 대화도 셈네베 타고 될 토에 다 대양 톱스베 갑라 아니 티질라 양조 받지네 아니 제대로도 셔럽 가디 제와이나 아니 라동세.
So, like I mentioned earlier about the difference between the shamatha and vipassana. So when we talk about like six perfections, like the perfection of concentration and perfection of wisdom, so concentration will be the shamatha, right? And then the wisdom that is developed through the concentration by analyzing on that object. So when you gain the wisdom through analyzing that object, you gain the wisdom of the object, the reality of the object through analyzing the object. That's called special insight or vipassana.
지름보치가 람름 chen 줘서 뎁 가다고 뎁섬도 뎁 트리북스 람름 chen 라마 tsongkhapa 바시 되게 뎁 가다에 베나 바시 타만이 있어도 대신에 라도식이요.
So like the last two, in that book, the last two perfections, we talk about the last two perfections, the perfection of concentration and perfection of wisdom. So those are the two, like the shamatha and special insight.
땡문에 대다 되는 식으로 근데 니나라 뜻을 좀 말씀. 남주 빼자 망아체 골마 제오제 신나라다 개걸라 뉴 마부차로 그랬어. 다 지름보치 때말 티감랑 오늘 될 제와서네.
So there's this very extensive explanation about those two, the last two perfections in the Lam-rim Chen-mo, the great exposition of the stages of the path by Lama Tsongkhapa. Many other texts, find very difficult to explain that. Not many other, the teachers or composers, find it difficult to explain. So they explain very much in detail at the beginnings, and then when they come to that, it's just very brief explanation, and then they skip like that. But no, Lama Tsongkhapa paid more attention on that, and then he explained like a lot more on that. So maybe of the 3 volumes, like 2 or last 1 volume is just on focus on that, and so there it explains in great detail about the shamatha and special insight, which is actually special. In the perfection of concentration and perfection of wisdom.
아니 베나 네텐 데빌라 다 또만이 식 말와서 아니 다 다음에 봐서 군식을 아니 다음에 잘 봐시고 저와 그렇지.
And in the low vehicle or the Theravadan vehicle, they don't talk about the emptiness. So they talk about like selflessness. So it's based on explanation on the selflessness.
아니 딱 가도 대화 첨부 배제 나한테 자나가 눌러 아니 또만이 잘 시행을 그랬어.
And in the Mahayana tradition, that's pervaded in Tibet or in China, and they basically explain that the concentration and the wisdom based on the realization of emptiness.
오케이 다 간지 다 주도 전반 얘기 다 고소 왔어.
So anyway, so you know the four mindfulness, right?
오케이. 대소소 전화도 곰 잡다라 두 치는 곰 잡았나. 다도 담보 단다 에너라는 저 소소배 선발 말을 해요. 근데 이제는 그 곰이네 나도 배에 나질 시티 말고 막 선발 해요. 자죠. 샘 쇼치는 내가 답신도 어떻게 그래. 또 안테 자원 안에 드니다 바곰 가리는 고쪽으로 봐.
So calm abiding, is like to calm your mind, right? Calm abiding, calm your mind and abide in that. Calm abiding. So unless you don't know that, it's calm abiding. So when usually you come abiding, you calm your mind and then just abide on that, and then on that then you analyze on the object, right? So then you what do you call about when you say meditation is familiarizing your mind, right? So when you're just sitting there and not doing, you're not familiarizing, so that's not even considered meditation. So meditation is only based on that. When you analyze or familiarize yourself with the object, through about its nature and so forth, then that time you're meditating.
가르는 간도 줄라 간지 샘 똑바로 예전으로 그랬어. 그 샘만 흘려주면 간도 나사이 자와 셔발라 단다 시당 단다 제마지 주는 것도 변나 수자면서로 그래. 나다니 수자면은 그 내가 걸 흘려 자는 거로 봤어. 얘나 맹문에다 마사나 나타 자기 말아.
So calm abiding or like the mindfulness is just like calming your mind, right? Calming your mind, just sitting there. So actually you need to develop your mind, right? So by doing that, just sitting there, you don't develop your mind. You feel like relaxed. You don't feel tension. You don't feel pain. It's like a painkiller. Just kills the pain for that time. But it doesn't really cure the disease. So in order to cure the disease, you have to take the actual medicine, and then for that you have to do other meditations.
Okay. 다들 다 가상도 되는 말 아니 뇨모와 무슨 사람이 봤어. 뇨모도 다 잔연 쭉.
So last time we talked about the delusions, right? Recognizing the delusion, identifying the delusions.
아니
Talked
잔연
about
쭉
the
가래. 배샤 못하는 저서 랍토게.
6 true delusions. Can you say them without looking into your text?
Yes.
Attachment, anger, ignorance, doubt, wrong view, and pride.
Everyone got it? You guys just everyone just copy or just say you can say yes. 도저가도 뇨모세다 뇨모세다 가래야 되는데도 뇨모를 했으려고 그러고.
So those are the delusions, right? So what are the delusions? Those are the delusions.
대 짠이도 대 짜비 뇨모 뇨모문에 되래.
6 root delusions, the root delusion, the real delusions.
아니 가서 뒤가 년년 예시다 가서 가서 냐라야 로리카 티사이 봤어.
And then there's the secondary delusions. The secondary delusions. 20 secondary delusions. There's 6 root delusions. 20 secondary delusions. So we learned already about them in the mind and mental factory class.
다 뒤에는 뒤나네 쪼대 말이 봐 나한테 되래 생각도 나비 봤어.
So among them, which is the main one? Ignorance, right? Ignorance of grasping at the self.
대랑 간들에서 나한테 다 제가들 나한테 찍은데 나한테 찍은데 담보 나한테 찍으래. 대라 때는 담보 나 녜시 때문에 동모 나시 때문에 녜서 찍으래. 찍은데 남주
So
차단하고
do
찍고.
you have self-grasping ignorance? First you have grasping at the self, is it?
Yes.
First you have the I, then comes mine or my, right? Is that right?
근데 내가 빼
Deborah has something different?
야.
I thought I heard His Holiness say that it's possible to actually grasp at something, an object first, and then that really brings a sense of I coming out very strongly. I might have misheard him.
가서
경험 측이 당보제는 유러진에 되는 소소 가지에 슈슈면 그랬어. 되는 손도 고소 뭐였다 고단 노래는 가려놨어.
마테 시당 되는 연구를 했어. 근데 얘들한테 대가라고도 나도 휴치 못 찍었어. 나도 아니 나도 그러고 나이반도만이 담보 나이반도만 찍게 말해. 근데 나도 휴치 못 찍으랬어.
So you can say, oh, that's very beautiful car. I want that. So after that you can have it, right? Like that maybe.
야.
Right? So
엄마
what-
집에 나가서 아니 가로 가로
당보 가셨다.
담보 가시 달라시 이제 다근 대신을 하시 베스 담보 가 찍으래. 되네. 내가 그것도 찍으려고 왔어.
So just like it is said here, so first I, clung to the self or the I, right, and then develops the attachment to them, right? So those things, so to the other things, so the my things, or mine, like that.
그래서
So first comes the I, and then comes the mine or my, the objects.
지금도 대다 다 된지가 이번에 가리는 되고 어떤데 나라 그건데 되는 나도 휴식 찍으랬어. 근데 잘라 이해시거나 담보 나도 그냥 깨다. 담보 나도 깨다 왔지. 나도 내 나라 그거도 파치 찍다 왔지. 다들 틀려나 와한데 거는 나라 그거도 나도 양도 휴식 좀 받으셔.
So even in that case, so when you see the object first, and then you already have that grasping of the self, and then because then you see that, so, oh, that's very beautiful, and then I want to have that. Then you even, you develop or you generate your I, grasping at the I even more stronger.
근데 전화도 다 가려라. Okay. Everyone has car. Everyone have car, except the in it. do you have?
I'm car free.
That's good. You don't have to pay the gas. You don't have to pay the. But 나도 마셔야. 근데 나도 마셔야. 저도 미신도 everyone have glass, right? Now everyone getting old. You need to really glass. It's not good. Right? You got some? Yes.
I just had to get some. First time.
So you're getting old too.
근데 내 집에 가려야. 아니, 날 미시고 넣었어. 너무 제기도 해줘도. 날 미시고 살아야지.
So at that time you develop I need a glasses. I need a glasses.
아니 가도 멤버스 하도 그래. 아니 지지고도 오늘 다 가라 내 고도 전에 저 잘라 대다네. 것도 실행이 왔어.
And then you go to see the doctor, and then doctor prescribes you, and then you look for the kind of glasses you want. Oh, this looks more beautiful, or this doesn't look beautiful enough. And then you choose, and you say, okay, I want to have this eye, right?
된대저도 따다는도 대등가도 냠노이가 알때 힘받아 썼는 저기 말때.
So that's our own experience, right? It's not like somebody said, and then we tell them, oh, maybe it's like that. It's not like that, right? But yes, it is like that.
다 가도 ben에 장소 좁어도 알래. 날 좁어이고 날 좁어이고 근데 저 삼고 삼보.
Same like that, when you're looking for somebody like partner, in your life, like says, oh, I want to have a boyfriend, or I want to have a girlfriend.
그러와 근데 저 책을 다 알고 근데 나 콜라가도 나 몰라가도 저 책을
And then you look for a partner, and then when you see somebody, you feel like, oh, okay, I like her, or I like him, like that, right?
그러와 근데 대라 때는 다 잡아 책거든요.
And then from there, I like him, I like her. So from there, then comes the attachment.
Oh, what happened? Or maybe this big or this one. Can you come to push there? Because that's too hard. Then dina peshenendo 가정도 로사인 바스. 직달할 때는 차다지, 대라 대송소지, 대라 때는 레서, 대라 때는 고왕거로, 코비자와 직다 머리파 임베, 머리파랑 안들 현재 임베, 녀모와 때네 뽕발라 단서 머리페 님보, 다음에 또 비 셔럽게발라, 배바 그비 대셔를 예전 준비, 맨 까보 치다와나, 다음에 또 비 셔럽이 인데 이자발레, 녀모잖아 마지 녀가로, 대셔 녀모 탐져주 뜨무 준비 좀 맞아서, 어떤데 빼 믿는 거 좀 도왔어.
어려운데.
가상가도
가도 돼.
가상 로에 되게 것들 가상가도 너무 제출한 두 대와
아니면 유튜브.
제출 칸들도 대리 로가데 좀 제출도 와. 디 강화도 와. 차진지 자와 머리뼈 임바 지따라 때네 차다 째는데 빼인데 매드는 것이 버려셔야 돼. 소소 너무 째다데.
그는 그래서 뭐 차보다더니 시다다.
텔라데네 차당째 차당 대송소째 텔라데네 레사 텔라데네 고왕걸 고외자만 직단 말한 직달라데네 직단나다 나한테로 어디 째그래서.
So if you look at in a textbook, it's in the on the outline 291 at the bottom of the page, it says, although the root of the six subtle and extensive root delusion is ignorance, one develops an attachment, hostility, doubt, and so forth, in dependence on the view of equating the self with the perishable, and in dependence on attachment, etc., one accumulates karma, and in dependence on this karma, one cycles in samsara. So the root of samsara are ignorance, the view that equates the self with the perishable. So it's a set of aggregates, right? So that's, I think maybe it's, it should be included in that, but it's put in the parentheses. And that the instinctive grasping at an I. To abandon delusion for good, one must work hard at applying an antidote to ignorance and to grasping at the self, that is the wisdom that understands selflessness. This wisdom that understands the selflessness is therefore like the white and the panacea medicine that can destroy hundreds of evils from the 400 verses. That is why the delusions are conquered when the benignedness is conquered. From the sutras on the 10 stages in this world, all miseries are committed, arose or to be found, came from manifest clinging to a self. So without manifest clinging to a self, this will not happen.
Okay. So
this is very important, and it shows how delusions arise and how delusions develop in our mind. Is that right?
Everyone has an iPhone. Now maybe you don't have much attachment. It's our iPhone. Before we get iPhone, we have very strong attachment, right? The smartphone, maybe not iPhone.
So first, when you heard about that, right? Heard about iPhone, all these, beautiful, incredible features about it, and you always, oh, I want to have that. I want to have that, right? So, but now you've been having it for a long time. for a couple of months, a year, do you still have that? Oh, I need that. Do you
Not
still
much
have that
of it.
feeling? Huh?
Me, I use it every day.
Yeah, you used to,
Yeah.
you don't have much touch, right?
You don't have much, not as much as at the beginning when you say, oh, I must have this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. At the beginning, right, when you just got it, yeah.
Today the tambo level have kala nganzo telpe chapa shuchi mo shu yores.
So when we just got it at the beginning, it's, the attachment to it is very strong.
Ti kabla cherang ka sala shona cho pe ngono ne ni kana sa cho chena shu yores.
So like if at that time, if you drop the iPhone, your heart will come into your mouth, come up to your mouth, right?
Today yongdo.
Is that right?
Today that duru nyomyo de nganzo sa de nyom ale nyom de chegen dos.
So through that, you can understand how delusions arise in our mind.
I give you like one of them, my example. When I come here, before I never touch it, phone, no, the computer. When Tamchi was a computer place, he always bring me, the tower, big ones. He bring one
Desktop.
Desktop, it doesn't work. We throw up. He can bring another one because his job has a lot of throw up. I've touched that.
Used one.
Yeah, used ones, right? I've touched. If something wrong, then he fix. Then doesn't work. We throw out another one. I don't have. First, I've touched. I've not that much touch. The one time I got Geshe Tsulga, he bought me small laptop,
Laptop, yeah.
laptop. I never have this my new laptop. It's very exciting, very strong touch. Then Hayam come to, he teach me something. I very strong touch. This I've never forgotten. Then he hand pushing the okay, Geshe push there. He finger there.
Finger on the screen.
Then I am touching it. Because I have very strong attachment. Because, right, you can, this is really recognized. And then he said, Geshe, no problem, I go get to cleaning.
Cleaner.
He bought that, the water, then soft the cloth. He bought that. But that time, I have very strong attachment. Like anything that when you get first time, you have very strong attachment. Here, right, it's my computer, right, my car. If you buy the new car first time, someone, or you hit a little bit someplace, you get very unhappy, right? Maybe a couple of years, you hear something, it's okay, it doesn't matter. Lord Scotch, because it shows Tanadi Peshana Tarandos. Jitalateni Chanachi, Tatela Chabana Chaba, Tatel Nevachina, call it Chabache. And the third Chabashumana, and the tele and the Chaba Shuchimachi, that Telaching Magawachina, and the Tela the Damaches.
So just like it is said in the text, right? So from the view of avoiding self with perishable, then comes the attachment. Right? So when you're attached to something, and then if somebody harms or something bad happens to that object which you are attached to, then you become angry.
So that Timu Chimbe, Tisha Numo Tamsha, Timu Chimbe, Timu Maribati Chumtavaina, and Nazara Navaina, Tigatan, nothing only the language about Chibaresra.
So then the root of the delusion, is the grasping of the self, right? So if you abandon the grasping of the self, then all the delusions will be abandoned. So just like the root disease, so if you get rid of that disease, then all other diseases will be gone.
Okay, right now, like this test, do you have anything you already touch? Everyone have something, or always like your man here?
You're talking about objects.
Object in anything there, like your cat, right?
I'm very touched.
Touch your cat, right? Yeah, exactly like that.
And she knows.
Yeah, people, anything, any kind, person, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, your children's, anything. You have very strong touch there, right? That thing chance to gom jabda. Chance some of that. Tell it any thing so pay some chasatelaya, and it's telachim tramati one of Chona, music chism but no vachina, tell it Damatianguris. And tell it the Damatian and to exchange it. Exchange it less. Take it later, Mambang come to us in patients on the walk.
So think about that object. So here when we say object means anybody, any kind, right? Not just the material things, but also human beings, animals, any kind of. So those are all objects. So earlier when we talk about the mindfulness of object, it's not only just material things. We're talking about anything that exists is object. So so when you are attached to that object, and then somebody causes some damage or some harm to that object, then immediately you become angry, right? So if somebody says bad thing about your child, you become very angry. If somebody says does something bad, to your car that you are very attached to, you become angry. And then because of that, then you create a karma. And then as a result of karma, then you circle in cycle existence.
Okay, let's have two 시작하다. Okay?
So that's how karma is created, and circle in cycle existence.
Can you do meditation something to very touch for you? Very, very touch something. Try to meditation that. Then how you, if someone harms them, not harm is very big things. Little harm, how you feel. Got it?
You understand?
Yes.
So last week, someone here talked about the example of someone taking their car or space in their parking lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And she was like, "Argh!"
Yeah,
And then you said that was the perfect time to start meditating on the eye.
yeah.
So I did that last week.
Good.
So something happened, and I was like, oh! And then I was like, that was the time that Geshe said to meditate. And then I found myself resisting.
Very solid.
But I didn't want to let it go at all. I was like, this is not really. No, this is me. This is the real I. This is the real I. And I was like, no, it's not. Yes, it is. So it was so hard.
Yeah.
To go. I didn't know how to. I
Yeah.
stopped because I just didn't know what to do. So how do you?
No, that time you have got to take a ngad shu chimche gars. Trika ngad ngunde damat wan hangers.
그래서 송도도 그.
Ah.
송도는 그 가르쳐 하고 만든 데는 러시아에서.
Now where they gone? Where they gone?
Where did it go?
Where did the eye go?
Yeah.
Oh, it's still there, very strong. Now I know it's there, and I can feel it.
No.
Even if I'm
송도는 더 쉬우려다.
저 섬도가 민들게 저 섬도요 말이지.
송도는 쉬우지.
저 섬도요 말이.
So I mean, it is very tricky, right? The eye is very tricky, in a sense that you can't catch it easily. Yeah, let alone holding it or like pushing yourself to let it go, and even like to see it is very difficult. So did you really see the eye?
Well, when I say see, I felt it in my body. Like I equated, the self with the perishable, and I could feel myself, like my body being, this is the whole I. You are doing this to me. You are harming my body and what I want. So that's how I experienced it. It's not like it was like one space, or like the eye is right here. The eye is here, and you are messing with my eye. Stop.
No, when you push, you think you point at your body, you think your body to your eye. Therefore, you didn't catch. You think you catch, when some, box here, you just try to catch. With the eye catch, that box just fly there. Like that example. You think you catch that you didn't catch, so with the microscope, you just look that. I catch the one that not there. He already fly that different place. No, I think you point your body. I am here, you think. But that time couldn't come on so take up lang nothing when they turn the matter of Nagos, Shuchimus. But I think of lang Sosolachi, Yamma Gaushi, Yamma Sosolachi, Magaushi, Elena.
So you see the eye. You see the eye at the time only when like something bad happens, something extreme happens to you, like somebody very attached to you, or somebody is very angry with you, or somebody does very thing bad to you, or you are very afraid of something. Like you're walking in the dark and suddenly you feel like, oh, I feel afraid and I feel scared. So but where is that eye? I feel scaring. So at that time, the eye that feeling scared, it becomes very, very, very strong. You feel like you can feel like you can also almost like catch it there. But then when you think about it, then it disappears. So, oh, where's that eye? Where's the eye? But when you are thinking that eye is the eye that really appears as existing from its one side. But then when you say, oh, this body is the eye, then that time that eye is not really there. This body is not the eye. You're just thinking that this body is eye, but you don't really catch the eye at that time.
Okay, 다 가상에만 가지고 유모도 가래에 생각도.
지금 소보도 나래 삼에도 뭐 체리도 잘 나가 그러더라.
뭐? 어떻게 쳐도 노르대요 생각.
대도 말아. 대 맞아 가지세 맞아 나한테 대 말아.
대 나한테 말해. 먼저 이제 제가 풍보된 가였나? 저 풍보가도 나차로 그래서 나도 엄마 주변에 또 뛰어져 그래서.
So like when we were thinking about this is just like analysis, right? So when you say, oh, okay, maybe this is the body, this is the eye, like this body is the eye, maybe this body is the eye. Oh no, this body is the eye. Like you can have that kind of belief, but that's not the eye that we're really thinking about, which appears to exist from its own side, and which is the one that we have to see as not exist from its own side. See, so that eye. So I mean, like when you describe the body as eye, even like the scientists, people, some philosophy, they might explain, describe the body as the eye, right? So that doesn't mean that you have understood or grasped the eye.
And
so when we talk about here the perishable, earlier I mentioned about what is the exact translation would be like zigzog means like collection, or group, a group of perishable. To this group of perishable things, you impute as the I. To this, then from that, then you create all this karma. So this group of, what is the group of perishable things? So it's a group, you're talking about the 5 aggregates, the group of, the form aggregate, group of feeling aggregate, and so forth, right? So when you see the form aggregate as the I, then what about the feeling? Is a feeling I, or what about the consciousness, or about the composition effect? All this the group of things, 5 group of things that we have, like those group, seeing those perishable, group of 5 perishable things as the I, So that's wrong. So because of that, then we create all this, because from that comes other delusions, and then through that we create all these negative karmas.
And
so therefore, so that if you're thinking of the body as the I, the group of the aggregate, the group of form aggregate as the I, then what about the group of the feeling aggregate? What are the group of the consciousness aggregates? So then there will be like so many I's.
Okay? Yes.
I don't quite understand the difference between ignorance and the wrong view of the perishable collections. Like I know in the Prasangika there, the ignorance is the view of the perishable collection, but in the lower schools, I can't understand the distinction of the ignorance there.
Ni kala kala chusong to was. Pena tabala drata no what in jikta days. The dre something the maripa days. Lam the was. The kandara.
Because taba do somebody?
Tabala drata some taba drins in somebody and jikta days. The Tumagomilla. That the thing nam message and that tapa masawa. The tapa the Dutch caro. Did what the door. Tapin and the Mambate, Tapi Nilu Masawa, Tawan Maripas. Jita de and the Tapa dress something, Jitachi. That thing and the Tapin Nilu is Sabomotoido, tell Maripares. The Tumagomilla. Comilla Marigan Chipares in Jita, Marima Chipares. Chipar Maripa Congress.
Nothing I always think about it. Another Mayo Congress.
Other carry Chipachawa.
So in the upper so the upper tenet, the upper like the Mahayana tenets, is the same. The view of the transitory collection, or the view that equates with the equates self with the perishable, and ignorance are same. But in the lower tenets, in the lower philosophy class, it talks about like thinking that, like the example of the rope as a snake, right? So thinking that rope is a snake, is another view of equating self with the perishable, and then because of not seeing that clearly, not in the dark or in the dusk, you don't see the rope clearly, and then you think that is a snake, is ignorance. So thinking that the rope is a snake is the perishable. I mean the view that occurs in self with the perishable, and then not seeing the clear nature of the rope, is ignorance. So the rope is not snake, right? The not understanding the rope is not snake, is ignorance. And then but you think that the rope, it's not that because you don't see it clearly, but you think that that it is snake. So thinking that rope is snake, is the view of this always comes to view of translated collection. So so view that equals self with the perishable.
대대 아니 직다다 머리바 아니 타던도 별로 두도 그래서 또 오면을.
And so when in the lower school, in the lower schools, philosophy, and they consider these two as a different. So the view that equals self with the perishable and ignorance as a separate, then that's how it's explained.
다 전다 고민을라 아니 직 탁파 드르 삼바 다는 말이 바래서.
And so in the upper school, just thinking that, the thinking the rope is snake in itself, is ignorance.
Okay?
Understand the difference?
No.
No.
Because in the explanation here, it says in the lower school, ignorance is like the lack of clarity about the mode of existence.
Yes, the clarity, yeah. So it is not clear, right? So you don't know.
그
So
싸우다.
not knowing, because it's not clear, therefore you don't know it is not snake. So that is ignorance. Not knowing is not snake, it's ignorance. Not knowing.
Okay, and in the.
And then thinking that it is snake.
배
See the
example.
difference?
Yeah.
니나라야 최도 오마 준소하고 말하지. 삼계 최를 삼대로.
So like there is a milk or water, you don't know, right? But you think it is water.
먹어라. 다 니나 요지 다 오말루샤는 최를 삼는 노대로 간지.
But if there is a milk there, then for you to think that there is a water there, that's ignorance, right?
그래서 안에 저런 게 싸워 맞다고 맞싸워 답에 드레마 맞싸워 지발에 맞싸워.
So you're not knowing the reality. You don't know that the real thing inside there is a milk, but you just think that there is a milk. I mean there is a water, and so not knowing that there is a milk, is ignorance.
Okay? Still not
So
understand?
in the text, where did you see that?
Do you see text?
On page 465.
Mm-hmm. What paragraph?
In the second paragraph.
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it says here, see here, another system asserts that ignorance and this view, so this view is assert, right? This view is the view of equating self with the perishable, right? Are separate. So when they consider as a separate, for example, the mistake of thinking a rope is a snake. It's like the view that equals self with the perishable, right? Thinking the rope is a snake. It's the view that equals to the self with the perishable. And the cause for this is that because the stripped rope is covered in darkness, there is a lack of clarity about the mode of existence of the rope. So that is ignorance.
Okay, who understand more? You understand?
Not that I can explain. I have my own thoughts on it, but I don't.
Okay, Deborah, you understand?
You understand this
No.
part here?
Who understand? Bob, you understand? Who understand more? Do you understand a little bit?
Well, not knowing is ignorance.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
What's in the cup is not knowing. I
Yes.
don't know what it is.
Yes.
That's ignorance. Not knowing is ignorance.
Yeah, exactly. No, Deborah, exactly that. Then what? The view.
Then why does the higher school say that ignorance is the view of the perishable collection?
그래서
더 공원이 어쨌든 거다. 내가 고마울 때는 가르쳐 집어버렸어. 좀더 고마울 가르쳐 집어버렸어. 고마울 가르쳐 집어버렸어.
다 대고 가라. 다 좀다고 캐는다 가라. 무수수 캐는 가가 이러 봤어. 고밀라 직다서나 다를 머리바라래. 머리바는 직다 대를 나요 말이지. 가지. 대라면 머리바 대라 때네 나다 나이 바 슈슈면 되게 대라 머리바라 그래. 직다라 그래서.
So this is the assertion, the how who accepts what like that. So the lower school and high school, depending on the proponents of the tenet, the proponents of the tenets, the people who propound. So those depending on that, then it's explained in that way. So like in the higher tenet, in the high school tenet, it says both are same. Yeah, so there is no ignorance other than the view of equating self with the perishable.
Isn't it a refinement that in the higher school and the lower schools it's just more general, and then the higher the school goes, it's almost like a magnifying glass.
네, they more 가르나 전다 오메 공이 샤니 샤도요 말 콜랍도요 말 간지데. 로 투요 말 단다 야 일락 수요 거기서.
The monastery the gebutan no gebushaga ma de chidan chibare sugora.
제민지 개차 말해. 간지 전다 고미 샤바는 제 고미 샤도가 맞다. 때로 샤가 말해.
So how it is explained in the by the higher school is cannot be explained by the lower school. So what it is explained, how it is explained in the higher school cannot be understood by the lower schools. So that's why it has to be explained as a separate.
배나 엄마 단지와 라지만이가 배나 저다 전다 고마라 왔어. 엄마 단지벨나 아니 이처럼 파 따와서 이 포로 팽은 주는 요 말했으라 그렇지. 요 말 대는 그 말했어. 엄마 라지를 팽은 고그랬어. 팽이나 매너지는 샤도 말했어.
So like in the higher schools, like the Savatandika Madhyamika and Prasangika Madhyamika, they both are higher schools, right? In this Madhyamika school. And even them, they have the difference, right? So Prasangika Madhyamika says, everything is imputed by your mind. There's nothing exists from its own side. So that's how it is. And that's nothing exists from its own side. It's all imputed by mind. But then the Savatandika Madhyamika says, no, it cannot be like that. There has to be something that exists from its own side too. And it has to exist from its own side, and then there has to be a mind imputing to that too. So there has to be, two things together. The Prasangika says, no, it has to be, it's only imputed by mind. There's nothing, not even an atom of it exists from its own side. So that, so that's like going a little bit higher, and they cannot be fathomed by the lower schools.
배나 간소라 단지베 랑지베 된 건데 지금 터보는도 알레 피 값도 값 코나면은 근데 값 간이 따올 상도 로 제게도 왔어.
So maybe to our mind, like depending on so to us maybe like it makes more sense. The Savatandika Madhyamika school's view, like it says, without a cup, how can we say it's a cup? There has to be cup there, then we call it a cup. There's two things has together. There has to be cup, and then we call that thing as a cup.
단지 값 고 말해서 값 세대 콘들이 잘라만 보지 루루시셔도 가도 값도 받다서 좀 코랑은 값에 좀 줘야 말해서.
So, but Prasangika Madhyamika says, no, you don't need a cup to call it a cup. You just need all those things, to the collection of these things, to the collection of these things, you labeled it as a cup. That's how the cup came into existence.
Okay, this is not easy to understand, right? Also, 간소라 단다 랑지베 때때 로는 차 대화로 연구했어요.
So for us, maybe it's easier to understand the Savatandika Madhyamika's view, which says that there's object there, and then we impute, from our mind on it too. So there has to be two things.
So they're just seeing it as dependent arising. The higher school sees it just as the cup as dependent arising. They don't see it as that. They don't
They're
see
both,
it as they don't see it as the cup. They see it as a bunch of things that make up.
No, they see the cup. The cup
Yeah, they see the cup.
They see the cup. The Prasangika Madhyamika, the
They
higher
use the
school,
cup. They see the cup. They have to see the cup.
They both see cup. But one sees as exists from its own side and imputing from the mind. The other one sees as only imputed by mind. There's a cup, but merely imputed by mind. Yeah. There's no cup from their side, from this side. There's no table from its own side. It's only mind saying this is table, and that's how table came into existence.
Okay.
That's difficult to understand, right? So that's why the Prasangika Madhyamika school is more difficult to understand. But that's the reality.
제వ 삼의 치마에 매매 르면 나고 나시 마이 그만에 제వ 감도 되비셨어. 제వ 세대가 맞아서 사초 매륜 좀 말했어. 제వ 삼의 저 매매 남시 마이 남시 봐도 말. 다 제는 제వ 감도 되발 텐데 제వ 다시 버렸어. 엄마 단지 불러.
So the
Okay.
Prasangika Madhyamika school says the person, when you talk about person, human being person is not, not elements, right? The element of earth, water, fire, wind, and it's not in a consciousness. But through those collection of all these elements, and then you label as a person.
Okay, now we didn't go on the today's things. Okay, now we to go. 전도 다 줄록쇼다. 다도 뇽mom이 제된다. 다 가도 뇽mom방 무슨 살이스. 다 뇽mom이 이제 뇽모 간이 제가 제된 무슨 거 대. 네, 뇽mom이 제가 두개 두가 쳐도 맞 줄록쇼스. 단다 록쇼다. Okay, we can read now. Then we check how we can go. The cause of the ignorant.
So this up to the
The
outline
sixth cause.
298. Okay, so from here 293 to 298, it's talking about the cause, of the delusions, how the delusions rise, and based on what, right? So first he's talking about. So let's read that all together. The first cause, their foundation. And this foundation consists of seeds or latent seeds. Just as when one is unable to uproot the seeds of illness, even the smallest piece of food will provoke illness. So when one meets with a certain condition, one will readily develop delusions in one's mind stream because one has the seed of delusions. This ready to sprout seeds are the foundation or instincts for this to happen. Second cause, their focus on object. This could be something pleasant, unpleasant, or whatever. When we meet with these things, because we have not abandoned the seeds of delusions, as Vasubandhu's treasure of metaphysics says, not abandoning delusion, both subtle and extensive, remaining in proximity to their subjects and carrying out unrealistic thinking. These are the full sets of causes for delusions. In other words, we must distance ourselves as far as possible from the objects of delusions, since we will otherwise develop delusions. Ordained people should avoid them by living in monasteries, hermitages, and so on. It will benefit us, beginners, and allows us to avoid delusion. If we do not see these subjects of delusion for a while, we should therefore avoid them as much as we can. In the mainstream, plus antidote should chiefly abandon these evil objects. And Tokme Sangpo said, abandon evil objects and delusions gradually subside. Free from distractions and virtues increase. Your mind cleansed, you gain conviction in the Dharma. Cultivating solitude is a task of a child of the victorious ones. In other words, it is vital to abandon the objects that develop delusions and to say in some places, the third cause is society. You should abandon the diversions of bad company. However, everyone involved in this life is bad company. Since their conversation are about things that cause delusions, alcohol, games, and so on, you should not heed such people or be influenced by them. If you don't do this, they fall under their influence. They will increase your delusions, and you will participate in actions and illustrations. There were once two people from the kingdom of Pempo, and the alcohol the other did not. The drinker went to wedding, and non-drinker to Lhasa. The one in the wedding met the Kadampa Geshe. The one who went to Lhasa fell in with the bad company. The two men later met, and because of the influence of the good and bad company, the man who used to drink and had now given it up, and the former non-drinker now drank. Alcohol, mischievous, thrift, anger, being cross, being rash, and so on. We give them these sweet-sounding names, but they still do great damage. When pupils depends on thrifty possessions, his miserliness of the pupils increase, and the same goes for the anger-prone teacher. It is all too easy to understand the activities of bad company, so we must abandon such company. All the same, although almost everyone these days yearns for things of this life, and usually this, but bad company. We cannot forsake everybody, so it is vital we treat such people with caution and do not associate with them too much. There once was a country where everyone drank the water of madness and became insane. Only the king was left sane, but the others said, "King is mad." Similarly, these days Dharma practitioners do not conform with the common thread and damage, so they wish to reach out, to pursue, and to succeed in their practice. When bad friends advise you, do not contradict them. Be like a stubborn old yak and practice the 10 most impressive pathas, which includes send an invariable Vajra ahead of you. Associate yourself with the primal wisdom Vajra and put behind the Vajra of shamelessness. The fourth course, the discussions. This involves reading books, which gives him plausible but still generous delusion. When you read these evil works, such as the folk tales, exploits of great and so forth. But if you think over the days and life stories, this can implement the series of exploration. You should therefore read such stories. When men they talk about things that increase attachment or hostility, about the king, the army, women, suicide, and so forth. This is also the cause to develop delusion. The fifth cause, familiarity. Sangpa Rinpoche said, you are if wrapped in the instances from your familiarity with the evil thoughts. In other words, owing to your great familiarity with the delusion, you develop attachment, hostility, and so on as a matter of course. Even the small delusions, according to our very small familiarity with them in the past lives. Some people develop great attachment, hostility, or whatever, as the slightest pretext. For example, familiar with anger can't even tolerate a dirty look, and so on. There is nothing for such people but to apply some antidote and do that. The sixth cause, unrealistic thinking. Unrealistic thinking involves the constant aggravation of naming the objects of one's attachment, hostility, and so forth. Regarding the object for one's attachment, nothing. Beautiful cut or lovely belt, and so on. Regarding the objects of one's hostility, an enemy, for instance, they didn't mean that after the words did that to me. One thing over and over again about these unpleasant objects. A person may be Dharma practitioner, but he problem, and so many doubts in law, cause and effect, etc. We will develop delusions if the above causes rise, so he must do what he can to prevent them. If he does not apply the antidotes and his delusions increase, they will be overwhelmed if he applies the antidote and so hard at this.
Okay, how's it? So do
you think it is like that or it may be like that? So we have to have that, we have to think that, yeah, it is like that. Not thinking, oh, maybe it's like that, maybe it's like that, oh, this is what the Buddhism explains.
Okay? So
last time we recognized what are the delusions, right? We identified the delusions, and now this time we talked about the cause of the delusions, right? And so the first one is the foundation, foundation or the seed. And it's talking about the seed, in the seed of the delusion, right? So if we haven't overcome the seed of the delusion, then even if we try to, overcome other delusions, then it will still grow again. So talking about the latencies and imprints, right? Karmic imprints. So it's just like if we have some kind of disease in our body, or inside our body, and then because of that we have these reactions, like rashes on our face or on our skin or some kind of pimples on a screen. So if you just treat the pimple, it will still come back again because we still have the disease inside our body. So nowadays the physicians, right, the doctors, they always try to see the root of that problem, and then they treat that. Otherwise, if you just treat the pimple on the surface of the skin, that will not get rid of the disease, right? So what is the foundation of the delusion? Ignorance. So you have to abandon that. So if we, as long as we have the ignorance, right, whenever it meets with some kind of object, then it's easy to develop other delusions. Like when you meet with the beautiful, attachment; when you meet with an ugly, anger, and so forth. And then other one, the second cause is the object, right? The focus or object. So the object that you come in contact with, like pleasant object or unpleasant objects, and so forth. And then And so in the Vasubandhu's, right, Treasure of Metaphysics, it says it's not abandoning delusions, both subtle and extensive, remaining in a proximity to their subjects, and carrying out unrealistic thinking. These are the full set of cause for delusions.
뭐든지다 녀모 가래나 고 내가나 제마와도 녀모도 옛날 빠데는데 고 예든 채나고 빡고 제한 그래.
So whatever kind of delusion, if you have not abandoned it from the root, then when you meet with the condition, temporarily meet with the condition, then the delusion will rise right away.
된저래도
Is it like that?
근데 존절로 소소 마가게 좁어지 왔지. 근데 로카지 마도 자체대 코로 사기 마타 룸미만 매 마도한테 고제다로 와. 니 맞아 거다 그다 야고 코로 라인 거지. 로치니 고 코로서 라인 말다고.
So if you have a friend that you don't like, and you get angry, right? Somebody that you get angry towards, and if you haven't seen that person, for some time you will not get angry. You haven't got angry, So and then after even like a few years, and 2-3 years later, then he comes to you, then immediately you get angry. The moment you see him, you get angry.
존절로 소소 마가서 들어요.
You somebody like that, you can think of
Do you have any enemies?
like a boyfriend, girlfriend,
Maybe
who
not
cheated
enemy.
with each other.
Maybe we don't have enemy. Maybe we have some strangers. Do you have? I think everyone have. Yeah. 제가 들려요다. 그 디카 미드 마토한테 그 그러나 그 텔든 나오지 뭐나. 미드 그냥 도나 그딱 뛰어 그래.
So someone who has like your, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, who have done very bad to you, and then when you don't see them, you don't feel anything, right? But then even when you see them, even after like a couple of years later, when you see them, you immediately get angry.
근데
That's because you have not abandoned the delusion, right? The root of the delusions.
너도 오늘 따다래도 왔다. 빼잖아 송하던 거니 지땡 도단 잡으래도 왔다. 대내 학 누기어 당도. 생각도 빼잖아 찍송하다 남중 알아서 가고. 남녀시에서 가이나 빼잖아 사와도 그 맞잖아 그러.
So what is explained here, is it really true? Is it really like that? If it's like that, then that makes sense, to study about this, right? Otherwise, if things are not really how it is explained in text, then text is telling lie.
Right. 대리다 산지가 소리 따다래매 된 것도 됐다고 그러다.
So then that means Buddha's teaching is not correct. So then we don't have to follow that.
그래. 다 당하네 차바지다 당하래. 전화 찔레 차바시오 여보지 전화 따직 뒤바라지 땡지지는 많더같이. 아니 로카지 찔레 안주치 두나 공님이 잡아도 고파면 그 사람한테 비 냐대다 그 알아온 그래.
It's the same with attachment, right? Someone that you liked so much, and then you had to separate, and then after a few years, because you haven't abandoned the seed, right? The seed is still there. Therefore, even if you see that person after like a couple of years, you still get attached.
나처럼도 좀시야. 저한테 좀시지는 권유지 말이. 가나 나도 좀도 변나 나도 니레 변나 밑에단 제외 좀시나 저도 고아라건도 생해마저래 치주버는 해마저 저는 저러 소알leg도. 대단 나도 코리아 미사지어라. 나도 코리아 말 기토저래. 뭐란기 빨라됐다 로카싱을 통을. 다 뭐란기 빨라지. 뭐랑 아마니다 그 저쯤에로. 다 콘도 보고 주주다 로 파사마자 qab라야. 아니 뭐 빨라 아마들라야. 좋아시버리 빼가도 보신 거지. 빼가지. 얘는다 코너 조보 가로인다 그거 개 라파면 되지. 다 코너 조보 가오다. 근데 라마 파지. 다 그때 가쇼 가더서. 단단히가도 틀고 계시는데. 그 부모들 틀고 그 깨지 셔도 메시지. 근데 다 이나 코랑 그 조보 가오인다 그 개개 라토에 맞다고. 근데 다 권이 장사 잡고 이제 경고차 로드 도라는 다 부모들 빨아 총을. 다 아마 하대로. 다 아마 가든 보대. 코리아 하대도 그 로드지 도와래. 그 폰하도 다. 그상 사 로드지 봐. 바지 로다 죽지도 권이 토요 말아. 그 자활 하대. 다 그게 다 고감됐는데 그 폰다. 다 권이 가오자. 다 권이 찾아 잡다.
So Geshe says he has a story, not like just something that happened a long time ago, and telling that story like that maybe doesn't affect so much. So if you tell that story that really happened in somebody's life, then maybe it's easier. So Geshe says he has a Korean student, a student in Korean, a student from Korea, whose parents, of course, they are like each other. They got married and they had these children, right? But there was this her mother. There was another guy, not her father. Of course, father, they liked and they got married and they had it. But there was another guy who was, attached to her, right? But this guy was a friend of her father also. So because it's her father, his friend's wife, so he couldn't say anything to her. And then he liked it so many years, so that was like before they got married and they met. He liked it, and then they got married and they have children, and then the children are grown up, and even the children have children, and now so they both are like about in their 70s, right? So the student, whose parents, they're all about 70 years old now, and then the father died, and maybe at around age 70, and then this man, who is in Korea, who knew that his husband is no more there, and now he still like her, and then he called her, and then they fell for each other, and now they get married. So the attachment, so because he has not abandoned the root, the seed, therefore even after so many years, attachment is still there. So it's really true what is said here, right? It's not like what is said in text is just bluffing. It's really true. So if we meet with those objects, from where these delusions arise, then the delusions arise very easily. So that's why the Tome Sambo said abandon evil objects, the objects that give rise to the delusions, and the delusions gradually subside. Free from these distractions, virtuous practice gradually increase. Your mind cleansed, and you gain conviction in the Dharma. Cultivate solitude is a task of a child of the victorious one. So that's the practice of the Bodhisattvas. And so if you develop delusions depending on that object, then you should stay far away from that object.
Okay, and that just matter.
So that's the second cause, right? So what is the third cause? Society.
That strong about that is another contact and the drawing Rachim Jation Power, Surgeon that in the Delalaship, Diviton, Jevin, Nature the Ponchi also got that.
So here it says society, but actually it's a bad company. It's a bad company, not any kind of society. So it's a bad company, not necessarily society. So I don't know, so society, you can call it society, but actually it's a bad company, right? So it's just like Rinpoche said that the bad company, a bad company or non-virtuous friend, doesn't come with a horn on their head, they come as someone very caring, loving to you, and then from inside they destroy you, like that. And so those are the non-bad companies or non-virtuous friend. So therefore you should abandon, you should stay away from them, just like you will stay away from the diseases. So think of them as a disease and stay away from them.
Okay? And the whole page on the drum and Tambo Chamato, Shimoko, Chantongede, and Trouble Dubai Tong, and Chamantongede, Trouble Duan, Chantonga, Chantonga, Trouble Abojene, got them beginning, Chamanto just Lemdoa.
And so like here the story Pabonka Rinpoche told in this text about these two guys, right? One went to Reting and one went to Lhasa. The one didn't drink and one drank, and then one who went to the drinker went to Reting and he met with the Kadamba master, and then the good company, right? And then gave them he received all these teachings, and then he abandoned drinking alcohol. The other one who didn't drink went to Lhasa, but then met with bad companies, and then he ended up getting a habit of drinking. So when they later met. So one who was not drinking was drinking now, and one who was drinking before wasn't drinking now. So this all depends on what kind of companies that you met. And so then also here, Pabonka Rinpoche mentions about the practice of the the 10 innermost jewel of the Kadamba master, so Kadamba tradition. So you're talking about that, right? So as is do not contradict them. So, it says the Kadamba says, which is, includes the send of invulnerable Vajra ahead of you. Associate yourself, with the primal wisdom Vajra and put behind the Vajra of shamelessness.
And topashi, nyepasum, and topasum yores.
So the 10 innermost jewel of the Kadamba, the four concepts.
Topashi, and garo, topashi.
Topa. Tora.
Ma tubashi. Madoya lopuchula to chupatala terida. Tubasi. Topashi.
So not really concepts, so like, what to say that?
Topashi, dojesum, nyepas, nyetupsum.
So looking at or depending on, something like that. So anyway, so maybe when we go into detail, then you will understand. And so there are 4 of that, and then 3 Vajras.
Nyetupsum, nyepa.
And then
punyetupsum.
And then the 3 3 gains.
And Yamna Yawajana Chu Mudun the Pundores, Midam the Pindores.
Because they topa.
Tamatenge, top nyesum sendo.
All right.
Wooden door, put up nyesum, the on the door. Punyet topsum loud lingues.
Proves all of it. So maybe I think
Midam the Pindores.
yeah, you get expelled. Expelled, or you get kicked out or expelled. You lose the position or something like that. When you lose the position, you get expelled from that, or you got kicked out from there, like that. Anyway, so when you become Dharma practitioner, you'll be like kicked out from that
Can't do it.
society.
Lumbati Misama Changanyochi, Jabot Mania, the Jabot Pishars. Jabot, you mean the Jabot Manu, the Jabot Koto Satin by person or else.
So, it's like in the story here, it talks about the Ling, right? The king, who didn't drink, and didn't become insane, or sane. Insane? He was sane. The others all become insane, and then they all kicked him out, right?
And they don't go, and they Yamlen by Yapo, I'm going to meet on the person of Charlotte. Just a matter about when the making a call, nobody's left the child.
And so, if you're a Dharma practitioner, you'll be expelled, from the society. So, like normal society is what? People who party, who drink, and all these things. If you don't do those things, then you get kicked out, you get expelled, you get expelled from that. So that's what Dharma practitioner should be.
Okay, any questions? Any questions?
Yeah, we'll discuss more on other causes.
So
this is very important, identifying the delusions and how the delusions develop and what are the causes that give rise to delusion. That's very important, and then practice accordingly like that.
Okay, yes. Yeah, Abba.
Well, so on the second one, abandoning the object, how do we do that living, when we're living and surrounded by objects of attachment?
Go to the
family, you can't go to the monastery.
Go to the Meladava Center. They're up there in the 2 houses. Remember, Mary didn't go there.
Right.
Up the Melad.
Louder?
No, Meladava Center. No, they Lela Yo Marse. Shatan, Namzo Soso, Namira Tendo, Numus Tasho Tego Marse. That short kind of Mamuchi was. May I think it's your Namima Checho do Chimamo Teneke or Mar was. Tendida Kajin Diga and Nigala Kaji Soso Namika, no much and Pena Kunzu Mishi Mumbe Wanga Yambas, Pena, and Soso and Yomo Yawan Chaya, but Tesam Tanko, Kunzu Mevachu Kishamari. But Michigan Korolagena, Korolange de Koranija Mishima or something like Nijago. Soso Tera Chagayona, Nan Yomo Yawan Chabra, Soso Yomo by a Tapshi orders.
So, it's like really it's understanding your mind. So understanding your mind is how you think depends on how you think. Even if you meet with the object of attachment, if your mind says, "Oh, this is just appearing as beautiful to me, but it's not really beautiful," when you think like that, immediately your attachment, even if you don't get rid of it completely, but at least it goes down. So like when somebody becomes angry at you, and then instead of saying, "Oh, that person really bad," it says, "Oh, poor guy, he doesn't know what he's thinking," he's influenced by delusions. He's under the control of ignorance, and therefore he's become angry. If you think like that, you don't feel angry towards that person. So that's like that. And if you are like something attached to something, and say, oh, this is my ignorance, and I don't know the reality. That's why I'm attached to something or somebody like that. When you think like that, so it doesn't mean that you have to like abandon your family or your spouse, and get rid of them. It doesn't mean like that. Just from the thinking, you can distance those
Yeah,
delusions.
Panado the Timelam, Chanago, the Machasani,
So when you go back home, don't say that I don't need you anymore to your wife. You'll be in trouble tomorrow.
아니 더더러 나도 소소 녀모베나 아니 메나베는 거는 나도 메라베기 리칸을 스치는 데드나 그 녀모 째대 그러고.
Yeah, so the main thing is controlling your mind, right? So so it doesn't matter whether there are people or not. If you have not controlled the delusions, then even if you go up to Milarepa Center or up on the top of the mountain, where there's nobody, no objects to be seen, your mind will still be deluded.
그냥 나도 총가를 들어나 소소를 뒤에들 잡으면 나도 개지 제면 넣었어. 잘하면 가면 가려워나.
So like so many things they are displayed in the shop, right? And of course, everything is attached, liked by somebody, not necessarily you, but somebody likes it, right? But there are things that not all of them are like you don't like all of them. It's not liked by you, right? But they are of course liked by somebody, and so doesn't mean that you have to like it, right? So if you don't like it, that means you will not have attachment to those things. So even though those are very beautiful things which are liked by somebody, but because you don't have attachment, so therefore you don't like them.
근데 초도 사람 지다 보여. 남도 영에서 그래. 이거 말하고. 대상 나도 남도 성강으로 갈면서 나도 대 잡아 제일 말해. 나한테 고선선.
So
나도 샘 코나 요
any of
말해.
you own aeroplane? So do you have attachment to aeroplane? You like go to
No,
the
yeah.
shop and you say, oh, I want to have aeroplane. I need aeroplane. Do you feel like that? No, right? Because you don't have attachment to aeroplane.
나도 jelaya 딱 나도 대 고급 삼아줘 요 말해. 나도 대 레바는 줘 요 말해.
So it's just, for one thing is we don't have a hope, right? It's not rich enough, to have that. So therefore, we don't like, forget about it, So we don't even think about it. So therefore, we don't have attachment to that.
다 나도 놈지 소소로 소소고 녀타와 소소 배치나들이나 잘은 안 돼. 옆었는데 뭐네 옆었는데 옆었는데 저거 자루도 와.
So something that we use and something that we can afford, we get more attached to that. Oh, that's nice. I must have that, like that.
뭐 드레이다 간제 소주 문제 삼 다다라면 부이 문제도 말해 인지도.
And so it's all from how we think, right? It's all from how we think, not from what is displayed there,
드레이다 다 지야 출로게 되는 등재들이 양군의 가디나 소소를 즉 인심지 소소 때도 냠도 제거하고 이반에 대 콜로 소소 냠도 제거는 야 때도 거는 다니시는 되기로 왔어.
But of course, if you see the objects there outside there, which causes you to arise delusions in your mind, then of course, being distant from that will help, to subside it.
Okay. Yes. That's good.
I think the thought, but so
You
if I'm
guys-
understanding this right, the cause of ignorance, the cause of delusions are all these things, but really, in essence, the cause of delusion is just like your previous delusion, right? Or is that not right? 'Cause
How so?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
it's just like your previous. The cause of delusion is your previous delusion,
Exactly.
Yes.
but
yeah.
all these things make up that.
근데 나다 나도 같이 양주 녀모래 마사 들어봤어.
뭐 그래서는 녀몽 가서 계진가마디 녀몽이 유로왔어.
야, 야들래.
들어.
알래. 대대
그래서 상마드네 녀몽이 주사가 맞아. 뭐네 녀몽이 주대다 녀몽 계진가마 들어왔어.
대대 전화해야 돼. 그래. 이난 너술라 때는 녀모 찌한 거래서.
Yeah, so there are many causes, so of the delusion. So the delusion, previous delusion, is the cause of the later delusion. Yeah, it is. That's for sure. But depending on this one, also you can arise delusions.
배낭 간조 배나 시도로 맞다거나 시도원의 제기 제대 세원 들어왔어. 이나 대 쳐다 리도 최차선 님 대체 저차다 그러와.
And so these can be like considered as the condition, condition. So the real cause, for like growing the apple is the apple seed. then but you also need other things like the moisture, the manure, the water, fertilizer, the heat, sunshine, all these things you need that, right? So those are all needed for the apple to grow, just like that. In order to the delusions to rise, you need all these things. You need one of these things, for you to have the delusions arise in your mind.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Can we still say, though, that it's kind of saying that if you can avoid the object of a delusion, then it kind of helps a little bit for the meantime. It doesn't make the delusions not gone. It's not going away, but it's not arising as much, and it helps you practice.
그래요, 더. 다 말했던 유머 막게나, 당 유머는 먼저 타령스 제원은 단 유머 계속 율레 타령스 제원은 가지고 유머 게임 말았어. 유머 막게도 유머 게임 말았어요. 뭐 저기 내가 게임 말았어요. 유머 차상 빵 터으면서 말았어.
말아, 대 말.
내가 막게고 이제 그 막게고 될 깨발을 때는 레사지 말았더라.
야, 다르래.
Yeah, that's right. So if you don't, if you distance yourself from that object, then the delusion will not arise, right? So if the delusion doesn't arise, then you don't create a karma, from that delusion. So when the delusion arises, then you create a karma. So that creation karma will not happen if the delusion doesn't arise.
Yes.
Then if the delusion arises, the only positive way I can, because I have them, like the attachment will rise up, but then I can say, oh, okay, this is attachment, I have it, let's try and reduce it. But it's sort of, it becomes your practice to even have these attachments, because now you have them, so you might as well do something good with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
대도 시나된 영어랬어요. 나 다 간지 네가 너무 째다 째요. 와. 너무 간지 영어요 봐. 간지 째요 봐. 다 간도
더 뭐라 세다 고사잖아.
다시 고.
작바도 열었다.
야.
작바 열었다. 작바 매워져. 딜레다 가서 작바도 야가질 배지도 않지 가랬어.
최고 영어지 배지 땅도 뭐 차배 영어 쳤어. 나도 최고 영어 쳤네야. 차반 늑선선 가지고 있는 요 말에. 단투사지.
작바 야가질 배지도 않요 말에.
아니 이 당어도 되는 거네 저 상하가 냠냠 반들이 나는 건데 소소 차배 영어는 맞아 봐지네 차봐야 로 쪽드베야.
So how do you use attachment for good thing?
Well, someone advised me, it's like if attachment for the person rises up, then you're like, well, what am I attached to? You kind of meditate on the emptiness. It's like, am I attached to his body? Am I attached to his mind? Why am I attached to his mind? Is it because he makes me feel good about myself? You kind of try and dig into it and that's a way. And then while you're thinking about it, the attachment does subside, because now you're not thinking about the attachment, you're thinking about the sort of the emptiness of the object. That's been helping me, just to try and find.
So
where
that's what you mean by putting it in a good use.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
So when we say in a good use, you can really use attachment, and unless of course in the higher tantric practice, you can take the delusions on the path. You can make the delusion attach, especially attachment. And in the some tantric practice, you can use the attachment, to develop even more stronger, realization and the path. So that, of course, you can do that on the higher level. But in ordinary life, it is very difficult to do that.
Yeah.
Once you have attachment, and that can only increase more and more attachment. So just like in the foundation of good qualities, so that so no matter how much you enjoy the pleasure of the samsara, you will never be satisfied, right? It cannot be relied upon, and you will never satisfied. So you have to think about that. So the samsaric pleasure is all suffering, right? Suffering of change, which you consider as happiness. So we live in this society, right? We have life to live and family to look after and all these things. So if we are told that, oh, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, then how do we live, right? Very difficult. But of course, identifying the delusions first, and then trying whatever whatever way you can reduce it, to reduce it. But can't completely give up and be away from all of this right away. So when we talk about influenced by delusions or under the control of delusion, what does it mean to you?
Well, everything is colored
I mean, nothing happens without an emotion rising up of this is good or this is bad. And then it's always either attachment or anger. I mean, very seldom I have indifference. It's always, I like, I don't like. It's always the dualistic mind that goes.
So that's what you mean by influenced by delusion?
Exactly. To me personally, that's what it means. It's like
그래서,
my whole life.
그래, 다 말하시는 다 녀몽도 줘봤으나 녀몽이 지내다 가르치는 가라통반에 야문에 야보로 야문에 두자래. 독자통나 셰당 야보통나 착바.
야야.
아 대대다 녀몽 셔전 정처럼.
너로다.
네.
로샤나 다들 발라 먹지. 다들은 오래 된지 간지 아니 내차 녀모저는 내차 셰당 또 공롱 가지 대왕의 전에 아니 그도 가르치려나 대다 뒤솔로 다 녀모저 어쩌스러.
So you are following the delusion, right? Especially like following the delusion. So if you are, of course, we all have attachment and say, oh, I want to have that, and then you go and have that. So that's following delusion. So not identifying the delusion. Oh no, this is just delusion. This is an attachment making me to do this. So I should not do that. Then you are not following the delusion.
다 가르빼노 차차와 있나 남관로요 있나. 안에 소소 녀모 원로다 소소 냠내 제더니 그 인자 라데요 와시. 다니 찍찍 담보 이제 대대주 제도 말와 다 안에 담보 녀모쇼를 판도나 안에 다 녀모장 제와래 대마저 담보 소소 제거가 돼제 안에 드는 녀모는 그 녀모장 좀 맡아 봐. 내가 또 자원이 제 매우 제도 말와 배나 남관도 요이나
답변을 걸 때부터가 줘야다.
때부터 안 줘야 배나
냠내 제니.
냠내 제니 배나 뒤수질을 키도 돼 요이나 아니 다 때부터 안 줘야 냠내 제안 줘서나 아다 내가 때부터 안 줘서나 녀모장 쳤어 말. So
like you could give you a choice to yourself, right? So there's a choice to you, either to come to the center, and practice dharma, or at the same time, go to the beach and enjoy there, or watch a movie, something like that, right? So your mind says, an attached mind says, oh yeah, I want to watch a movie or I want to have a good time. So that's like attachment saying that, right? And then if you say, okay, yeah, I'll go there. I don't want to go to the center, or I don't want to do my practice. I will spend that time watching movie. Then you're following the delusion. Right? And then, yeah, of course, you're creating karma, but you're following the delusion. You're going with your delusion, of course, and then that leads you to waste your time, then maybe do more bad things, create more negative karmas, all these things. And then instead you say, okay, no, I can, and I don't have to go there. I don't have to go there, I can maybe go there later. First I want to do my practice. First I want to go to the center, do practice, or first I want to do my practice, and after that, then okay, now I have a time, now I can go. Then you are not really following the delusions.
tenreza karso ina ngando te jesho de pena ngando pena di gabla ngando jina pena timota ya roshona ngando sem ti chigo do sem ti lele chagdo.
So we don't have to work hard to go to watch movie, right? You just sit there and then it just appears to be entertaining to yourself, right? And so it's easier to do that. Therefore, one man says, "Oh no, I will go and do that."
대다 때 ngando ane chuni shena ane jiwe dungas ngando sna ta te dewas jiwo chongsong setre.
So we think that's the enjoyment, right? Watching movies, enjoyment, and hanging around is hanging out, with a friend is enjoyment, but in Dharma it is suffering, right? Suffering of change.
다 디인 탑라 소소 지 냠내 제와이나 디근 레와 단다긴 통고 말한다. 디 제와 심말랑 ngando 봐 백날이야 마타 침부 샤샤요래.
So instead of doing that, if you do the practice that you have to do, then that creates a lot of good karma, right? Of course, you don't see it right now, but it's a big saving in your bank, which you don't use it now, but later, when you retire, it becomes very becomes very handy, right?
There was sometimes I have like this happen. Some weather's bad, maybe today no class, and I'm just relaxed. Wow, today no class. So I can, I can watch, TV. I can just hang out in the class. I just enjoy this. I'm honest, right? But really, if I'm able to have class, maybe benefit some people, or even not. We come together, we just pray together. It creates a lot of merit. But we don't see right now. Whether it's cold, snowing, cleaning our car. We have so many excuses. It's not easy, but we create a lot of karma. That better you just stay home, just relax, feel like that better, right?
But then what happens if it's a bad movie? Then you 2 hours.
Yeah.
Horrible afterwards.
Yeah, we don't think that way. Like that thing,
2 hours of my life.
That's
Yeah.
worse. But even if it is good movie, still it's not good, you know.
Yeah, but we are the always, like, more used with the ignorance or the like that things. We like that. We chose that. Someone say, okay, today we're going to, like, maybe weather's very good. The morning we say, today we go to class or we go to beach. Maybe have say, go to beach. Yeah, we have class all the time. Maybe tomorrow weather's not good. We have to, like, but of course we have to rejoice or enjoy the lay life rule. We cannot say, we cannot abandon, everything. Don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Like example, I'm the monk. The Buddha says monks cannot have long hair. Then we say, lay people, you guys have to touch your hair, you have to shave your hair. We cannot say that, right? This is 4 different ways. Like this, okay? Any other questions? But you have something?
Oh, I was just wondering if you can become attached to the Dharma, studying the Dharma, or doing the Dharma, practicing the Dharma, and you become attached to that.
텔레 용도 용거 다는데 나도 대 차바도 요래요. 근데 신나 대창은 대 차바 야로.
Yeah, that would be a good attachment.
Also, there is a difference between, good attachment and bad attachment.
Yeah, so if that is the kind of the attachment for an attachment to benefit others, attachment to do the Dharma practice, then that's a good attachment, yes.
이나야 텔 차바들 때내야 심할 내워지는 된다고 말어요.
So but because of being attached to that, if it caused harm to others, then that's not good again.
그래봐. 배나 남중 하나 라고요. 나한테 전부이 삼삼문도 배나 만도 배나 다 대상 배 샤마서 배 몸도 와. 그래서 배 약보는 건데 지상으로.
Sham?
샤마상.
Sham.
이나 가시가 소소 샤마서 이제 파쇼고 샤생이라 마베치야 돼. 도대체 대배 그 니바 못 사기로 왔어.
So like for example, not eating a meat, right? Being attached to not eating meat, is that good? It's good, right?
It's very good, right?
You're not eating meat is so good. So many people nowadays they practice not eating meat. That's really good. But then because of being attached to that, you think, oh, that's what it should be, right? Nobody should eat meat. And then when somebody eats meat, then you say, oh, those people are bad. They eat meat, like that. Then that's not good again, right? Is that right? Makes sense?
So then
you become angry towards those people who eat meat, and you criticize them, and then you become angry at them, and then that's again now not good, Yeah, yourself not eating meat is so good, but then you should not talk bad about others.
Yeah, this is kind of, like we need to know, like you say, okay, I'm the Tibetan Buddhism. You say, I'm Tibetan Buddhism. You have a very strong touch. I'm the Tibetan Buddha, I'm the Mahayana. You say, oh, you guys Hinayana, you guys are non-Buddhism. You guys believe that in our character, you just criticize that. It's not good. Because you have a strong touch. I'm the Tibetan Buddha, you have strong attachment, you criticize others. It's not good. But, example, His Holiness Dalai Lama was always very important to respect all the religions. That's very important. Okay. Thank you. Do a little bit of meditation, do practice, this kind of thing. This is we have always stuck or problem is for ignorance, right? This is how you get ignorant, how you arrest.
Erase, take it away.
Yeah, this is, not just read one time, leave that. Just read, thinking, is really 24 hours in my daily life like this one going? In mind, overthink. Yeah, this is Geshe said, Buddha said, or His Holiness Dalai Lama said, Lama Zopa Rinpoche said, the book said. It doesn't change our mind. You really think, oh yeah, that's really, right. You need to do something to experience. It doesn't really change our mind. It doesn't really, when we need, it's work. Otherwise, you know that, but when one day you need, it doesn't work. Because you never did that. Therefore, a little bit of meditation is very important. Okay? Okay, thank you. Who's home there?
Page 39. Just go quickly. Saji perki juxing me tok tram ri rabling jin ni de gem padi sangye jing du migte wagi drokun nam dag jing la cher pa shuk jetsun lame kutse rab ten ching nam katrin le chok chuk ye pa dang lo san ten pedron me sasumgi drowe mun sel tak nu neg yur chig idam guru ratna mandalakam niryatayami. From my two collections, vast is space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time. May I be the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds' wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives. Manjushri, may I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold the Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounty as peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time, by even this graded course to enlightenment completed due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes an effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. In that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig remain in life till samsara's end. Page 49, the short long life prayer for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjana's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Page 57. Through this virtue, may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that enlightened state. May the supreme Bodhi mind, where unborn arise, and where born never decline, but increase more and more. Page 75, Migsema. Nigme tse wei ter chen chen rezig, drime kien pe wang po jam pel yang, gang chen ke pe tsu gen Tsongkhapa, lo sang drak pe jab la so wa de.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Geshe. Thank you, Jangchub. I'll also be quick. Please watch out. There's something up with it this week going out. It will be in your spam folder. It seems to be showing up in people's spam folder at the moment. So if you can't find it, it's still going out every week. But please take a look. We've seen a drop in the opening percentage of the thing, and we found that I found in my inboxes it's ending up in the spam folder. Sean and I are trying to figure it out. We haven't yet, so please take a look. Otherwise, keep an eye on the calendar. For instance, we've got next week your usual classes, and then on Thursday there's a Medicine Buddha Puja. Please join that. Then our wonderful celebration of Geshe-la's 50th birthday coming up on April 14th. There'll be some notifications going out about volunteering opportunities associated with that. Ping me. You'll see that. And if you have any questions, just ask me. That planning is in progress. And there was one more thing which I can't remember, so that's fine. So thank you so much, Geshe. Thank you, Jangchub.